I'm a representative of the entity called Msfac, which are a public-facing, dialogue-based radical arts organisation. Over the last year, but funded by Arts Council for the last 6 months, we've had a project which we've called IZ-B12. We've had a few projects where we've sort of based them around sort of postcode and slight science fiction-y influence. So it's all about what sort of hyper-locality and sense of place. So we've called it IZ-B12, and it's a discussion about, well, the whole 6 months is a series of workshops, events, discussions, open-facing projects. I think I've already said workshops, but they're massively important. And something we call a free democratic symposium, which is like an open, panel-less panel discussion about certain subjects. We've also had a lot of films. Everything we do to create debate, or to just instigate an informal debate. For us, like, we feel that, I mean, part of the whole project, part of the spiel is that we live in a climate indifferent to ideology, and we've got this neoliberal pervasion of culture, especially within art, within society, within cinema. And so what we sort of do is we pick apart the symptoms of the oppression implicit in our society through liberalism. So discussion for us is massively important because often, especially in art, there's a big lack of sort of focus on certain things. I'd say a deliberate sort of lack of focus on things. So discussion for us is massively important. It means we can, it's just one of the best ways of getting things done. For us, it's politics in action, is discussion. The collective's a funny thing because for us, you know, the idea of what our collective is, it's a constant changing thing, but the collective is much wider than we ever imagined. And because it's an open-facing discussion, or because the whole thing is centred around that, what we do is we create a space where people can come into, where politics is not it's not rammed down their throat. It's something which is comfortable and safe, but also informal and like hugely relevant to people. And yeah, I feel that's what our collectivism is about, creating a space, and creating a space where people feel comfortable. The biggest sort of collaboration with us with entities is that we're here in partnership with Friction Arts. Friction Arts, this is a wing of the Edge, which is their HQ. And Friction Arts have been working with the sort of community and doing like heavily conceptual community art with people from as far afield as Brazil to 5 Ways in Birmingham, and like they've been here for years, and they asked us to come in and work with them, and they mentored us into our funding bid, and in return we sort of help them out. We're volunteers for them, and it's all fair exchange basis. So that's the first collaboration really, is with Friction. It's a massively fair exchange based mentoring. That's leading to us mentoring people who are coming out of university themselves. It's led to us getting to know other collectives. Like initially we were going to work with a lot of our peers, like who were collectives, but through sort of wider spheres of influence, we've met a lot of collectives like Hive Collective. We work with Oika Boom. We work with lots of bands, and we've suddenly got this massive collaboration with the punk scene now. Through like every one of our 6 months, through our 6 months, every month has really been a pilot for a larger project, and out of that lots of projects are coming, and one of them is something which represents West Midland punk's heritage. So that could be one of the next things that we're going into. So there's a collaboration there with Punks Alive Collective, which put on punk music in Birmingham for very little money. The punk gig was about, we came to the West Midlands as artists. Like obviously you might hear from my accent, I'm from the south. We came to the West Midlands partly because we wanted to study art in a beautiful building in Margaret Street in the city centre. We didn't want to study in London, we're not loyal to London. But also Birmingham's got a fantastic punk scene, and that's something like just personally that brought us here. And through being artists, art is sometimes very detached from society and culture, and art for us is massively a part of this sort of punk history, and that is something which is now acknowledged by the mainstream of art, but for us not enough, and not properly, because the West Midlands and the Midlands and Discharge from Stoke and GBH from Birmingham, just the influence musically and aesthetically they've had on punk now, you know. There's always the fight about, is punk dead? And it certainly isn't dead. If you think it's dead, you haven't gone anywhere. It's fucking everywhere. And what we want to do is just celebrate what history we've got here, and in a formal way, because it isn't accepted in the art canon. We think it is really important, massively politically, massively important, visually, aesthetically, historically. It's something that isn't being appreciated, and it's something we really, really want to do, that project. I mean, it was something when we pitched the whole project, an aspect of it with the punk gig. We didn't know if we were doing a lot of very arty things, whether we'd actually get the punk scene wanting to come to what we do. It's the same thing with the activist scene. But actually, I think people understand because of the openness of the space. This space is an extension of our sort of belief system, and when people step into that, they sort of know it's genuine. And the punk gig was amazing. We had more people than we could have ever imagined. It was like a genuine punk like gig from the old days, where everyone's all stuck in together in this little sweaty room. And no, I think it was unbelievable. It was a really good event. And one of the most important things is that initially it was supposed to be something which got oral histories, and it was pitched for a much bigger project that couldn't have happened in a day. But through that, just having the word Punk Heritage brought people like Dec Drongo and Jock Blythe from DBH to come here and want to talk about their history, and that's fantastic. And now, you know, we're getting links with punks, like, and the people who have been all over the world influencing the world in punk music, wanting to talk to us and give us their story, and that's massive and brilliant. And that's the most successful thing. Next year, we're going to be formerly Msfac. We're going to be called FAC. So we're going to drop our dependence on the art school, and we're going to step into the Free Arts Council. And that's going to be part of our whole workshops, and it's going to be about rebranding, moving on as a slightly more open-facing and massively open collective, which hopefully got hundreds and hundreds of members.
I used to have a home until they took it all away. I used to have a home till JCB's turn up one day. I used to have a home. It was our power.
I think, you know, we're much more solid in our resolve of our politics and how it does work, and, you know, there's certain things that are sustainable and certain things that aren't. And, you know, initially you grow all the time as artists, and you're always learning as artists. About making art run sustainably and doing it out of passion, and we know more so now that we've got so much passion for what we do, that I just want to be doing this forever, whether it's here or anywhere in Birmingham. We're going to be here forever. So.